Joey's a cam girl. They just don't know it yet.
It looks like it. It really does look like it. There's fucking lights everywhere. It looks. I could realistically be shooting porn in here, and it wouldn't be that unobvious.
You can just Google Joey's butthole. They'll find it.
There's stuff on the internet that I don't necessarily want to share. If we were in a threesome, so do you know how in threesomes like one person always gets the least amount of attention? Like it's just like just mathematically, it's not a number, right?
It's you.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. Well, I guess.
If you were making this question was about the three of us, it's you, Joey.
I mean, you don't know. What if I really impressed you? Like,
Dude, me and Cap once shared a bed with Hobbit where we slept like long ways. You know, like across
so
the
you
bed.
put two beds together. There's the crack in the middle, right? So to make it even, none of us slept in the middle of the crack. Instead, we all just shifted 180 degrees.
I was so uncomfortable.
And slept sideways like that.
So like on your back, like you all had like a dip where the mattress is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we ruined all of our bodies instead of just one of us tanking.
That feels inefficient. Like someone could have slept in the bathtub or slept
It was
anywhere
Hobbit.
that
I don't
wasn't.
know why he refused to leave our room, and we were like, whatever.
We also could have just made Hudbit leave.
Yeah,
but he
that's
was
true.
afraid of getting shanked at his dirty hotel he was staying at.
So you were just providing him safety and cuddles and good cuddles. Man.
That's how that's how many a threesome started, Joey.
Is this like how your guys' podcast starts?
What?
I see you listen to it. But
Dude, I don't listen to like I'm not actually that supportive of my friends' stuff enough.
yeah, it's fair enough. I don't need you to listen to it. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel bad, and I wouldn't expect anyone to, because there's nothing of importance here at all. Like, it startles me when anyone's like, wow, I'm so excited, 'cause I'm like, why?
My favorite part is like the vague sense of disappointment from all of our guests, Joey, that they all say the same thing, that they're like, so this is how it starts. This is it.
Is there a better way to do it? Like if you're making something, you really want to hook someone in, right? And what hooks people in more than threesomes? It's like a big fantasy, right? I'd say it's the majority fantasy out of most people's sexual preference. Can you think of a bigger one?
I don't have that fantasy.
I'm not saying that you do. I'm just saying that like if you polled the majority of people, that has to be like top 3 fantasy.
Yeah, I think so. Most likely.
I don't think it's a 3-dude fantasy.
Yeah, I don't think it's a 3 heterosexual males having sex with each other. I don't know if that's...
You can find that anywhere on the internet. I'm touching my eyes so much that I'm so self-conscious about it now. Ugh.
Yeah, I'm doing it too because I just woke up.
You just woke up? It's 10 o'clock. Why are you waking up?
We're casting in like 2 hours or something.
Yeah, we're... Call time for ESL One's league starts in 2 hours and 15 minutes, so just past midnight. And, yeah. Every day the matches start at 2:30, I think, and 1:30 later on for Southeast Asia or something like that.
So how many games are you covering? Or like, is this like an everyday thing? Or what's the... I don't know what the new ESL schedule is.
Yes, it is every day for 23 days. 3 best of 3s, all in 3 separate regions. That's for like the first 2 weeks, and then the last 2 weeks is Europe and CIS. And that's like 16 teams, so it's like entirely focused on that. But the first 2 weeks is like we cover either a Southeast Asia or China game, then we cover... I don't remember, actually. And then eventually we get to NA. I'm presuming a Europe game, but Europe and CIS is all at once, so I don't know.
So this is in lieu of what was going to be the LA Major?
Yeah, pretty much. It doesn't have any DPC points attached to it. Valve still hasn't said anything about that.
Does anything have... See, you're touching your eye again. Does anything have DPC points attached to it at this point? Or is it just like a giant question mark until Papa Gabe is like, hey, everybody, this is how the season works?
I think it's just a giant question mark. Like, I don't know when Valve's gonna get to the DPC points, but in the meantime, like we were saying earlier, there's a bit of an arms race for online leagues and content right now, since there is going to be no events in the foreseeable future. So We Play just announced theirs, so we're doing ESL One, and that goes until like April something, and then immediately afterwards We Play starts, I think.
Yeah.
So it's going to be back to back constant content for people, which is good. I mean, we said it before, right? Like I want Dota to be churning out content during this time because a lot of people are home. A lot of people need something, some sort of content to consume. So Dota needs to be on the forefront of that.
How does that work for you, Will? Do you have to double dip and like do this ESL, but also still, do all the liquid coaching? Are you just like not gonna be sleeping?
Um, Usually like me and Liquid, I told it before the year started. Obviously this is kind of unprecedented and it was hard to like see coming. But I told Aiden, I was like, I want to cast what I want to cast. That's okay, because they really wanted me as coach, so I kind of struck the deal. I was like, hey, for non-DPC stuff, I'd like the option to be able to cast, and if you're okay with it, you're okay with it. Um, and he was like, if you want to cast DPC even, it's okay with us. Which obviously I turned down. There was going to be a point where I was going to cast actually the major because I had agreed to cast the Chengdu major beforehand, and then I was going to join them after that. But then I was like, that's probably bad. So then, because I didn't really feel like coaching before that, I would have rather casted at the time. So then I told them before, I was like, hey, ESL reached out. They'd like me to cast. It's really hard for me to coach online anyways in leagues because everything that I get is delayed, right? It's not like I'm next to them and I get to watch their games with them live. No matter what, it's like a 3-4 minute delay. And then by the time we do like our post game talk, it's kind of redundant. So the best I can do is I have one of them record the game from their perspective, and then I just have them record all comms, and then I'll watch it. So probably what'll happen is like I'll get home, I'll watch their games probably live. I'll give feedback to Aiden. I'll text him. I'll be like, hey, I think this went well, this went wrong. And then as soon as I'm done, I'll get home. He'll forward me the VODs from his perspective, and then I'll go watch those, and then I'll give my feedback on that. That's probably like the best way to do it.
This is something that you kind of learned from your first coaching experience with Liquid, right? Is you going to NDL and like you actually being a part of a full-time coach for them for DPC events, like not just distracted by casting. This is something that you learned from Liquid, right? Because you obviously casted while you were coaching Liquid during that time.
Yeah, during Shanghai too. I mean, it's not like the easiest thing. It's like I get really tired, and because you're constantly thinking about like 2 jobs at once, and so it's like it's pretty difficult. But I don't know. I like keeping busy. I just do. I can't. I'm not one of those people that I'm okay with doing nothing, but I think I'm at my happiest when I have like an overwhelming amount to do and trying to like figure out how to fit it in rather than as little as possible.
I was supposed saying like this run around, it was more important for you to focus on the coaching
on
side.
Coaching. Yeah, for sure.
Just because there was that sense of like, what if and regret if you do end up splitting your time and not able to like focus so much.
I think I would have felt worse for like Victor. I really like Victor. He's our CEO, and he gave me like, I mean, I set like the tone for everything, and it would have been really bad because I was the one that originally introduced him to the team, and kind of floated the possibility and gave. I handled most of the talks between them in the first place, and then I ended up having to negotiate for myself, and he was very generous, and he was like really nice and understanding when I told him like, hey, I plan on casting at least like 2 or 3 ESLs, and I might do this league here and there. And I think a lot of owners would have been like, hey, what the hell, like your full-time job is to coach. And I was like, I realize that, but it's just how it is. This is your bargaining position. And I didn't want to be a dick to him, because I don't think he would fire me if the guys wouldn't want to fire me. But at the same time, I feel like it's really taking advantage of him if we have this like huge major and I can't be there for that just because I was probably going to do it no matter what. I just felt bad for MDL because I quit on such short notice. I gave them like a week. I was like, hey, I'm not going to cast. I'm going to play, or I'm going to go with my team to the major. So that kind of sucked for them, I think. But
I know it's different just because it's coronavirus time, right?
Yeah. I mean, what can I do right now? I'm stuck in America, so in an ideal world right now, if we were playing this league, let's say like the major system didn't exist anyways, we'd all be in Utrecht right now, and then I would be helping them out, and we'd be living together, and then I wouldn't be casting anyways. Maybe I'd like hop on for a remote cast like meme or something, but like that'd be it. But now it's like I'm home and the BTS office is like 10 minutes away from my house. If that, it's like how can I not do that?
Yeah, that don't make sense, right? Were you gonna go back to Europe, but you just got stuck because of Corona?
Yeah, I was gonna fly back on the 23rd, and then obviously like day by day things got like more and more serious. Like before it was like, oh man, so LA major happens, yeah, it'll probably be fine. Then it just like kept getting worse and worse, and then the situation gets like weirder and weirder. And then I made the judgment call. I was like, I was actually about to go anyways. My life is so good sometimes. Like I just like things work out. Just like I was like, I just won't go, and it was the right thing to do. So
If Blitz had gone, then he wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to work this ESL League, which obviously it's just 23 days of work. In this kind of period, it's a big deal. So,
Yeah,
especially after
just thinking about your bottom line, it's like, oh hey, look at that. I can eat comfortably for the rest of the year.
Yeah, exactly. So, once again, things just work out for William.
I went from not making it to the major to not casting the major to casting the major to not casting the major to now casting even more days. Like everything, like it just got. I knew it would just continue to cut. It's like some bumps along the way, but it'll all work out.
Yeah, when I don't think that was ever announced, but they were actually going to hire Blitz as an additional talent for ESL One LA.
I feel like I saw a
Thanks for
tweet
that
about
hookup,
that.
Austin. Appreciate that.
What's that?
Well, here's what they said. They said I can announce it myself, and they'll push it through their own social media. And I was like, that's not really my style. I won't announce it. I'll just show up and work. And then
You'll like Beyonce the event.
yeah, I was like, dude, no one does anyone really care? I mean, maybe people like negatively care if I cast the event. I'm sure there will be like a few hundred people that are like, oh, Blitz is casting this game. I'll just mute it. But like, you know, for the most part, if you see a caster, you're just like, I'm ambivalent. I'll watch him.
Does that really happen to you? I feel like there's not that much ill will pointed towards you at all compared to other people. Or am I just ignorant to it and you see all of it because it goes directly to your inbox?
I think it's probably like rightfully so. Like lately, I've been pretty lazy. Like in the past like year or two, I've been kind of like just kind of coasting until TI, and I think I do some good work at TI. But I mean, but the thing is, before then, I always kind of messed around. What it was, I think, the biggest thing is that Dota has changed so that the pace of the game has become so much faster. So the time period where I got to just dick around in a cast has just been shortened by so much that there's just like no period to do that. There's always something to talk about or there's something to do. So my casting style just did not evolve with the times. It just could not.
That's fair. I never heard that perspective from you before.
I think
mean,
that's personally why I didn't enjoy it as much.
I always figured it was because you just kind of got bored of it. Like once
That
you understood the game well enough, you know, it was like you could predict what was going to happen, and once you're able to predict those things, it no longer becomes exciting.
Yes, that actually ruined it too. Coaching did ruin casting for me in a way. Because I could always tell, there was a time period where I was teaching Austin how like Dota worked and all that, and I could get him to predict winners off draft like every time, like clockwork. Like we could do it, like there was this one run right after I had worked with Liquid where I would do this thing where I would always guess the opposite of him, and his like his like percentage of getting it right was like through the roof. It must have been like 85% or higher.
Bucharest minor, I think.
Yeah. Like I could just he could just be like, this is the team that's gonna win, and it was like, but when you see the game that way, it's just different because like at some point in the game, like 15 minutes in, you're just like, oh okay, this game's like pretty much over. Like it should be over at this point.
This patch is going to be even worse, right?
Yeah.
I've seen a few people tweet about this patch and how they're not loving it.
I saw Seb tweet about it.
Seb tweet about it. He said this is the worst patch in like a really long time. I think Illidan chimed in about it. Said it's going to be like very TI4-esque, basically.
I think so too, personally.
A lot of grouping up and running at buildings and game ending. That just happened. I just watched VG Gaming smash IG Vitality. It was over by 10 minutes. You could just tell.
I saw the NA We Play thing, and I looked at Business Associates versus EG, and I was like, okay, game 1, 19 minutes, game 2, 19 minutes, game 3, like 25 minutes. I was like, okay. So then I looked at all the games, and I started to see like no game went above like 31 minutes or something. I was like, okay, like
Yeah.
This is what we're playing with, right?
Maybe you won't have a long casting day, then you'll just blow through all of it because the games
That's
will
my
all
hope.
take 25 minutes.
Joey, as a lazy person, that is my personal hope at all times. That the game is 2-0 series every time, baby. 2-0 series every time.
That's the chant that always goes on at every Dota event. Like with production and talent, it's always 2-0, 2-0, 2-0
Yeah.
because we just want the day to be over.
Especially as the days get
faster.
long, just get it over
Yes.
with. Because you're.
Yes.
I want good games that are 2-0s.
Yeah.
That's my dream.
I mean, it doesn't matter for your paycheck if it's a 2-0 or if it's a 20-minute series or a 3-hour series, right? So.
Absolutely, sir. That's
We
why
get
I don't
paid
do
by the
grand
day.
finals.
Not the hours.
No best of fives. We're doing 0 best of 5 casting.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think we'll see how ESL goes. I'm presuming it is going to be pretty fast considering the meta right now, but I don't know. Ice Frog definitely needs to change something before TI, if TI does happen,
What
because we don't want TI4 to happen again.
what was the predominant change that happened in the patch that sped it up so much?
There's just been these really weird changes to the comeback mechanisms and such. The latest one being based on kill streaks. Just before this patch, it was like a heavy amount of experience you could get just for having a kill streak. I think it went from like 500 something experience to all the way up to 2,000. It was just linear. There was no basis on levels or anything like that. Now it is based on your experience, your level determines how much you get. So if you are level 5 and you have a killing spree, then you get X amount of experience. I think the numbers something's wrong though, because people are getting an insane amount of experience. I remember breaking down the numbers and seeing that overall it was going to be less experience unless it was like you were like level 25 with a dominating streak or above. It was like any time past that you would start getting more experience. But I thought the change from A to B that was going to be not as bad. But it's actually crazy. People will just get like 3 levels off of getting a kill.
So is the grouping up a byproduct of like needing those kills or just needing to not die?
I think it's probably needing to not die. Also, they buff like a lot of random things. Like all these heroes, like for example, they kept steadily making things like Necrobook better, and things like that will always push the pace of the game. They made it so that they made Repair Kit worse, so that because Repair Kit used to have multi-shot, so it acted as if like it was another glyph, like 3 glyph charges essentially. So like little things like that, I think, push the pace of the game a little bit faster. And as a result, like you want these like team fighters, rather than like straight up like clean wave clearing stuff like that. So game faster.
When you're coaching and a new patch like this happens, like what percentage of your intuition is just like reading the patch notes and theory crafting versus like just going and playing a bunch of games or just talking to all your friends to see what everyone thinks? Like how do you begin to analyze these changes?
Most of the time I'll watch so I think actually Purge has a pretty good hit rate with predictions. I think sometimes like he overthinks certain things, but a lot of the times he has a pretty good idea, I think, of what is good. I mean, no one's success rate is going to be 100%, but I think Purge, sometimes it's like a slog to get through because it's fucking like 8 hours long, but like I will watch it every time so that I have, you know who put me onto that actually? Envy. I remember I was talking to Envy at an airport and he said the one person's content that he watched was Purges. And he's like, I really and this was like major winning Envy back during like the Frankfurt days and stuff. Said he grinded watching Purges replays or analysis of the patch. I was like, okay, so I should probably do that too. It's just like
Pretty high
free
praise.
information. Yeah, so then I started watching that, and a lot of times Kevin has a really good idea of the game, at least in terms of like reading the numbers and understanding like what's good, what's bad, like how far something might have to be for it to be good. So I usually watch that, and then for the most part after that I just play. I'll just grind. I'll read through it like once, and then I'll just play as much as I can, because I can sit there and like obsess over it, but at the same time, like for me anyways, I won't really understand it until I just get a feel for it myself. So it's like pointless to be like, what does this like 2 base damage change really mean if like I don't actually just like feel how it works.
Blitz has always told me about that. Like, he's more of a feudals player. He's just got to go out and just grind
Gotta
it
do
and find
shit.
it out.
See what's good.
It tells me he doesn't read the patch notes, just shows up and plays games. Figures it out as he goes.
Dude, it works.
That was
time.
Caster Blitz. Caster Blitz would just show up and just play some pub games. All of a sudden, there's a new Aghanim Scepter. He's like, what the fuck is this?
Dude, when the voice spear hit one, I was fucking so confused. The first like 2 days, I could not understand how that worked, and then finally, I just caved and read it. I was like, okay.
You couldn't understand why you were getting silenced when he showed up in fights.
I was like, does his like Eighth Remnant is his fucking like is it his ulti? I was like, all right, whatever. I just figured it out.
How's Liquid been? How are your players doing?
I think they're good. I think my guys are. I think Mickey is a kind of social creature, and so I think this is kind of hitting hard for him. He's having a harder time. Tommy's okay. He's with his girlfriend, so I think he's probably okay, right? I think he's worried. Obviously, he has family and stuff like that. He's probably like he was the most paranoid, and I was like, it's okay, Tommy, because he's a sweetheart. So he's like thinking like he also always thinks of like the worst case scenarios. He's like,
well, everyone's
okay,
gonna die.
Yeah, I was like, don't worry, Tommy. Like it's gonna be all right. I think Max is doing perfectly fine. Max's dream, honestly, is just like eat chicken and play Dota pubs. I think he's probably played more pubs than anybody in the world right now. I'm not exaggerating that.
Even
really
more than mind control.
Yeah, I think if there's a person that has played more solo queue than Koikfa at this point, like, oof. I think Mickey's pretty lonely, but he's doing okay. And then I think Aiden right now, he's doing some shit. He's pretty happy. He's fine. He'll be alright.
What do you mean by doing some shit?
Just doing
I
some
can't
shit.
really say. It's not really
Alright,
my
fair.
thing to say, but, I hope he watches this and he's happy, because, I'm gonna meme him.
Okay. He doesn't watch it, but...
No, there's no need for him to. One day we're gonna steal and I'll be like, hey, but I mean,
Honestly,
but now you're never coming back to Los Angeles because we're never gonna be able to get on airplanes again. So.
Honestly, though, if you guys want, you can ask me anything, because I don't think I'm famous enough where people post Reddit clips about me. I'm not artsy. So, like, for your, like...
We can test that theory.
Or something, you guys can, like, ask me whatever, and I'll answer honestly.
I'll have you know it is at least double that, so, like,
Shit,
that's...
20, my bad, Doug. I'm an Austin's fan that tunes in to watch this podcast.
No, I mean, I don't know if you have anything spicy, Cap. I mean, I can get there. I'm more curious because you're just talking about, like, soothing their nerves. How much of, like, interacting with them is you just, like, being a dad in addition to, like, being their source of Dota knowledge?
I would say that my players are actually, like, pretty mature overall. I think there's some things that you need to, like, mold into people. There was something, there was something that really motivated me to do that. I had worked with Jarex 2 years ago on the old team Liquid, and I saw that he'd retired, and I had wished him well, and I was like, hey, thank you, like, it was great working with you, Jesse. And Jesse always made it a point to always come and say hi, and, like, always, like, ask how my family was doing, always gave a hug, like, he was always friendly, like, he remembered our time together fondly, as did I, so I would always, and I remember I pointed out to my girlfriend once, I was like, he always, like, even after, like, a TI win, he always comes by, is very polite, asks, like, how Grace is, like, how my mom is, like, stuff like that, very sweet boy. So then, I DM'd him, I was like, hey, congrats on all your success, you'll be successful, whatever, and then he told me, like, it was great working with me because I would ask him things outside of Dota that always, like, tried to get him to mature, and tried to get him to, like, see what he wanted outside of Dota. And so I was like, oh, then I should probably, like, continue to do stuff like that. I mean, I think being a good teammate, I read something that, like, Greg Popovich said. He's like, if your people are, like, good people, they'll naturally be better teammates, and they'll be, like, better to each other and, like, kinder to each other. And there was, like, something I read. It was like, you treat your players the same way you did you did before the game that you do after the game. So, like, if somebody does well, you don't, like, shower them with, like, insane praise because other people notice that and they feel bad, right? So I think a large portion of it is like just trying to prepare them for life, trying to make sure that like they understand that they're not like ultra special. We're trying to keep them humble. We're trying to keep them like at a good level field. Always try to give them the perspective that there's like more outside of this life, and that you should always like be hungry for stuff as a result.
A team that's pretty chill and humble. Like that's definitely Liquid in a package right there. Tommy, going back to Tommy. Tommy takes care of his family, right? That's what you
Yeah,
told me the other day.
he's got like 9 siblings or something like that, something like absurd. And then he's got like 2 parents, and I think he's like the primary breadwinner. So a lot of it, like a lot of course, like I'll help Tommy probably the most in terms of Dota stuff. Like we'll always watch replays together at boot camp, and we'll go over things, and he'll ask my opinion. But a lot of it is like making sure that he is okay with the responsibility of doing so and understanding like what it entails, what he can do, what he can't do. Like we're probably going to talk to, we were going to do it after I saw him next, but like setting him up with like a financial advisor, things like that. Like just it's less being a dad and just making sure that all the other things on top of Dota are taken care of for them, so that they don't have to worry about things. So it's more just like a, I try to like older brother them, I'd say, more than straight up dad. Like these kids are like, my team is very mature. I really like my team. They're all like very nice young boys. They always say thank you and please. Getting them to do stuff is not that hard. Like great group of guys.
I'm so jealous that they're not just here, so I can do more things with them on like a Liquid org side, because it's very rare to see people who are easy to work with or want to have fun, or even just nice, which is wild.
Yeah, Joey had a talk about Liquid being drama free. You have the League of Legends team that is not drama free. Joey had to go through that. That was fun. So Double Lift is benched right now. Is that what it is, Joey?
He's playing again. There's so much that I could say, but then I don't know if I'll have to cut it out before we air, so I'm just not gonna say it. I mean, it definitely. If you compare 1-to-1, like, I mean, I have to love all of our Liquid children because they all need to be famous and draw eyeballs, and the players are also investments, right, from an organization standpoint. But it's just so much nicer when you feel like the players aren't very pompous, or they're just down to play. That's really rare, which is why I was very excited for the old Alliance when they went to Liquid, because I'm like, oh, I'm naturally like a Liquid fan, and now I'm in like an even weirder position because I work for them. So there's like multiple areas coming together of me wanting to like these players and this team and just the ideology behind it. So,
Joey, have you met the Liquid CS:GO guys?
I haven't had the chance to. I've met Russ Twist very incredibly briefly.
Okay. Blitz, you were talking to him. In fact, I saw you and Arteezy were playing Warzone with him last.
Yeah. So I met Twist. We took an Uber together at the last boot camp. He was there to to film some content, and then he was like, I know somebody he knows, and he was like, hey, and then we were very friendly to each other, and then he had followed me on Twitter before that because I can't remember why, and then we just started DMing each other, and then he was like, hey, you want to play some games sometime? I was like, sure. And he was very friendly. Like he was like, I was like, we should probably not play CS:GO because the skill gap is like, it's like playing Dota with like my friends that are much worse. I was like, this can't be enjoyable for you. So then I was like, just like, okay, well, let's play some Warzone, and then I know Artur plays Warzone, so I was like, you want to play? And he's like, all right, let's run it. So, and I know he's a CS:GO / like COD fan, so it's like.
Did you guys win?
No, but
when I tuned in, you guys had not won anything yet.
No, the thing is like, I thought. Let me just be real here. I was pretty burdened. I griefed a few times, not intentionally. I'm just bad, but I really thought like Twist was gonna like 60 bomb every game, and he did not. I was a little disappointed. He was averaging like 14 kills a game, but I really thought it'd get higher than that.
Very different mechanics. 14. Very different.
I imagine if we played CS:GO, he'd go like 1,000-0 every time we played at that level. But I'm just saying.
No.
Yeah, I was watching that last night. I tuned in because I had to, take clips for work, and I'm like, is that fucking Will? And then I'm like, is that our tour? Like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, man. People connecting people. We were supposed to play today, but then I fell asleep because I had to work.
Honestly, I don't have anything like really spicy to ask you, William. This is our
That's
most
okay.
Dota-focused podcast that we've ever had.
Is it?
Since I know you too well.
It's probably honestly it.
I
I'm
don't-
also just not very interesting, so it's like
Last time.
about me.
I disagree. I'd argue that we're just not doing a good job teasing stuff out of you, and you are remarkably interesting because I don't think as many people fill as many hats as you do in the space, and you're also so incredibly well connected that like it's more on us to tease something out of you than for you to realize that your life probably is like incredibly wild, right?
Joey, have I ever told you that William's like the luckiest person I have ever known, known of, not just known, but like known of.
What
William
define Lux?
Incredibly lucky. I think just I've gone gambling with this man. Just as a good example, I've gone gambling with William. It always works out.
It always works out.
He'll lose some, and then by the end of the night, like William, we're all gonna be like leaving the table or something. William's just gonna be like, all right, I'm just gonna play I'm just gonna get 500 and stay on the table 1-on-1 blackjack, and somehow he'll walk away with like 4 times the amount of money that he came in with. I don't know, like that. That's just his one example. One example of many in life circumstances. William just. William's smart and William's talented and all those sorts of things, but also he's got this key factor.
It's pretty bullshit. It's like what I said. Like I didn't get invited to the major, and then all of a sudden, like I get invited for like 10 more days of work. It's like, how's that work? It's like life just kind of hands me things. And I'm like, okay. That's why like whenever anyone says like, I think there's a lot of survivorship bias in esports, like an incredibly high amount. Where it's like people were saying, oh, I discount none of the hard work that any of us have done, because I'm sure a lot of people have had to do certain things that they didn't want to, or you had to like grind, and like a lot of it was luck. Like I could have chosen StarCraft 2. God, that would have been terrible. Like there's a lot of different games that I could have gone into, but I chose to get into Dota, and then like I happened to make the right connections. Like when I first got my casting gig, I happened to be pretty good friends with Milk, because he was good friends with Ben, and as a result, he hired me for Join Dota, where I met Cap, and then I decided to work with Cap over working with Toby. Like all these like little random things that just kind of worked out for me. That like it could have been. It was a coin flip, honestly. That could have gone the other way too.
You were talking to joining BTS at the time, right?
Yeah, I was most likely going to join BTS. I just worked a best of 5 with LD, where we casted like Hellraisers versus somebody. And then he was like, hey, I'd like you to come work for BTS. It'd be cool if you did. And I was like, I don't know why I didn't. I think at the time it's because I wanted to live with my girlfriend who was Canadian, and I was American, and they couldn't do anything for her. But Join Dota was like, yeah, we'll hire her. And I was like, okay, why not? Like,
that was the trump card that Freaks for You had,
fuck
which was that we would hire his girlfriend. So
yeah, so then I was just like, okay, well, it all kind of works in the end. And then I met Austin, who I thought was a douche at first, and I was like, all right, he's pretty cool. And
What-
it kind of worked out.
What made you think he was a douche at first? Was it just his general appearance? Because he is like at least half like bro fuckbag.
I met him at like TI, was it 3? I think it was TI 3 when it was like Ben Arroyo or something. And he was like
Sure.
way too enthusiastic. And I like, back then I was like a lot more cynical of just like people in general. I think he was working for like Absolute Legends or some bullshit.
Yeah.
And I was like, this guy wants to like, he's like way too try hard. And I was like, back then I still do it sometimes, but I guess everybody does. But I would just make snap judgments of people and like, oh yeah, I'm right. And then I thought he was kind of a dick. I remember he texted me, or he told me his number, and he asked me because we were there for such a long time in Seattle. He's like, if you want to go get drinks or hang out. And I was like, pass. But I took the number. I was like, see ya.
I don't remember that.
You asked me if we wanted to hang, so then I had your old number when you were back in like living in like Portland. Because I was kind of friendly.
I'm not that sociable of a person. That's a weird thing.
Yeah, we were
all I
sitting-
remember at TI is the only person I really hung out with was
Yeah, that's because I said no to you, dude.
was Chappie. Yeah, but you know me, like, just like, how many times do I ask people to like go out and stuff? Like,
I think it was because like it was like the gang was like me, Sheever, and Purge. We were going out and stuff like that. So then I thought, I think you're just like that sounds like fun, and I didn't invite you because I'm an asshole. I was very immature back then, so.
Man, I must have blocked all of this out of my memory. I don't remember this harsh rejection.
Or you're seeing
Oh,
the other side of
good.
the story now. The whole time you just thought like, oh, he's probably busy.
Yeah, I thought the
was.
first time that
I
I
had
met
a lot
William
of time.
really was when he came to join Dota. So
Oh no.
I don't remember any of this.
No, don't worry, man. It turned around. It swung back the other way.
Nice, nice. Yeah. Let me tell you, Joey, that was not the play.
That was not the play.
Toby also thought that I was insane because I was working with absolute legends at the time, who had that Dota. They had the Australian team,
Mm-hmm.
and then obviously they were a League of Legends organization, and that was not the play to be associated with them. I thought it would have given me some sort of like.
Yeah, you were doing
standing.
something. It seemed good at the time,
I
right?
was working in the scene of some kind, right? Like, do what you got to do.
I mean, ultimately it worked out. Maybe you were
Toby just thought I was a League of Legends caster from there on out.
So you and Malk had like inverse problems.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Man. I remember the first time that I really met you, Will. I have like this searing memory about like being outside of a BJ's and you like begging me to feel how smooth your legs are. And I
That
definitely
sounds like William.
thought you were like a little too weird for about like 2 years after that.
It's all right. Everyone has a different experience than me.
Wait, William, isn't that this is very similar to Pyrian Flax's story of first meeting you?
Oh yeah, I told him let's do the dick rope. It's this dance that we do, and now he does it with me. He just kind of willingly goes along with it.
But that was Ted's first experience of Blitz.
Dude, it's just that I'm a very hit or miss person. Either we're gonna get along or we're just not. It's just how I am.
Has it always been like that? Like, did were you find like making friends when you were young, or would you just be like polarly opposed to people?
I didn't really have like I don't know. It's not like I was bullied or anything, but I didn't really have friends growing up because I live in the middle of nowhere. If you've been to my house, like you'll know that like no other kids are coming up here. So then it was just kind of like I don't know. So then you become weird by yourself. You know, like I was really into like imaginary friends and shit up until the point I was like 10 or something, like pretty high age. So then I just like had no other kids around. So then and back then the internet didn't really exist. So the only time I would get to interact with like other people was like my sister. So then I became like this really weird, socially awkward kid. But then like I lean into it now. So it's like if you don't like me, like you'll at least know what you're getting out of the package. And I like myself enough that if you don't like me, that's okay. I'm okay with that.
Is that something you've gotten better at? Because I know that one of the things you didn't like about casting was the fact that there was people didn't like you, and you needed to know why.
Let me clarify.
That is something
Yeah.
that we both share.
Yeah, it's not the fact that like you're welcome to hate me for sure. Like I'm sure there are plenty of people in the scene that will have some grievances with me, for whatever reason. No problems. I'm sure I've 100% done my share of wrong too, and I definitely rub people the wrong way too. But it's like I would like people to dislike me for valid reasons. You know, it's like people that shit on like the Twilight Saga without having like read it or seen it or just like I can't do that anymore. I can't blindly hate something just to like hate something. I have to at least like witness or like know what it's about, and that makes sense to me. Then it's like, oh, I can say like I probably won't like that. Like if you told me like, you know, you should definitely check out like the Twilight series, like I probably won't like that based on what I know about it. But I won't just say like I hate that. And people on the internet are like very hateful. They don't tell you like they dislike your casting. They tell you that they hate aspects of your personality, even though they've like never interacted with you once. It's like I hate this about you. It's like you've never had a conversation with
You
me.
don't know me? Like, what the hell?
That part really bothered me. I will be honest.
Oh, hey there. You're probably wondering why why did the episode stop? I was interested in what Blitz was saying. And Joey, why the fuck does your microphone sound so bad? Well, guess what? We had I think it's what the kids call a scuffed recording. It didn't quite finish all the way, and it sounded bad, and I'm pretty sorry about that. Please accept my apology or flame me on Twitter as long as you follow me first. Yeah, my bad. We did have a little bit more to say with Will. Unfortunately, it has gone to the annals of the internet and my hard drive, but we are going to have him back sometime soon-ish, since we're all stuck in Los Angeles. And I think him and I are going to have an eating competition, which he claims he can win, but I know that is a lie. So, stay tuned for that. We got more guests coming soon since we're doing this all digitally. As always, it helps if you follow us on the old podcasting apps, the Spotify, the Apple Podcast. A 5-star helps, even though this episode does not deserve it. Let me tell you again. Did I mention that I'm sorry? Whatever. You can watch us on YouTube or listen to the podcast apps or just don't. But please do. I'd prefer it if you do. I hope everyone's staying safe and washing your hands. We will be back next week, and I love you. If that's a little strong, then I like you. A lot. Because you're cute. Alright? You're cute. Wash your hands. I'm serious about that.